Welcome in. It is day 73, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. So, following up from yesterday's game that has not been available yet to the public, we're bringing in another game that's going to be coming out new. Now, this game is getting initially an Australia release, but I was really excited to be able to get my hands on it to get to see what the game was, and hopefully this game is going to end up being really popular and make its way everywhere. That game is I'm Right, You're Wrong. So the idea of this game is that you have three different types of cards. You have your attack cards, which are red. You have your high road cards, which are green. And you have your trap cards, which are yellow. So on your turn, everybody starts with 5 cards. You draw a card, and then you play a card. And then the next person goes. Now, if it's an attack card, these cards can either cause bad stuff to happen to you, or cause good things to happen to your opponents. It's bad, you don't want to play red. You're trying to stay away from that. If it's a green card, it's positive for you. It tends to add to your cards, or it allows you to do something to hurt an opponent. If it's yellow, it's kind of in the middle. Overall, it's good. You know what your hand is. You know if this card says, for instance, nobody can play any green cards until this card is deactivated. Well, if you so happen to have a hand full of yellows and reds, you know you're pretty safe. Or if it's a card that says place it face down, and the next person who plays a red card, you're going to flip this over and you're going to prevent that from being activated, that's good as well. So those are your cards. And then the way the game plays is there are 4 possibilities. If somebody runs out of cards, they are eliminated from the game. If somebody can't play any cards, they're eliminated from the game. If somebody plays a card but it's by cheating, they are eliminated from the game. The last person left with cards wins. It's an interesting setup because you might have somebody play that card that says nobody can play any greens, and then it gets to you and you so happen to be killing it. You've got 5, 6 cards, everybody else is down to 2, but you're all greens. It looked great for a while there because you have all these really positive cards, but now you can't play them, which means you're out. Or somebody takes your turn for you. So, it might be that it's a 3-player game, and player 1, you, are packed with loads of really good green cards and 1 red. 6 cards, 5 good, 1 bad. The first player to your left, player 2, ends up playing a card that says you cannot play red cards. And then player 3 plays a green card that says they can randomly pick a card from your hand and that's the card you play, and it just so happens to be your red card. Uh-oh. Well, you were trying to dodge that one little bad thing. Now it's cost you because you kept it there for too long. It's a really cool concept of a game. I played through a couple rounds. Easy to understand, fun, people they think they're ahead and all of a sudden they're way behind. It was great. I really enjoyed it. But we judge on this channel based on my 7 categories, so why don't we jump into those and see where this ranks. Category 1, the art. This game obviously comes with a nice little box, and the cards are really nice art. It's just a bunch of different little images of monsters or little robots or animals, and as you're playing through this, it's a really nice with the 3 colors and with the way that they make the writing very clear. It's large. I feel like kids could read this easily enough. Big thumbs up for me on the art. They did a very good job with this. The box, I feel, for its size, sells me. If you were to have made some big game with this kind of box, I don't know that would have grabbed me. But for a smaller box, it does. It grabbed my eyes. I like the box, so it's a big thumbs up there. Your components. Well, there's only the one. It's the cards. And the cards are really nice. I feel that they put some money into these. They don't feel like they're going to tear. They don't feel like they're going to wear through time. There was a nice little shine on the back of them. I think they did a fine job on their cards. And, that's all you're really hoping for. With a card game, you just want to make sure that you're not cheaping out. It's the only thing you have, so put your money into it. Great job. Components are a thumbs up. Your price. Now, I did not get a price range on this, but based on the size this is, I would say that this has got a range somewhere in that $10 to $15 range. It's a good amount of cards. You're probably getting close to a deck of 60, somewhere in that range. I have no problem with this being in there. Now, if it goes beyond 15, that'll be an issue. But for me, I think that a $10 to $15 price range, especially with this being shipped out into the Australia area, meaning that shipping is going to probably be a little bit to that. Probably not a lot, because you're just paying the one shipping for a bunch of games. So hopefully when it gets spread out for such a small box, it's going to be barely anything per box. But I could see that being an extra buck there, meaning, hey, I thought I was going to get it for 11, but it turns out it's 12. Whatever. I'm not going to do any thumbs up here, as it's not an officially known category, but I don't see this being an issue. Difficulty. This is not difficult. In a way, it almost felt like I was playing a better version of, when you think back to the day, Uno. Now there are a lot of versions of Uno today, but Uno was a fun game to play with friends. The problem with Uno was it felt like it took forever, and I don't feel that's the same case with this game. Well, in Uno, you're trying to get one player down to being done with their cards. In this game, it's all about trying to hold on to cards. The deck never replenishes, so you don't have to worry about, oh, we ran out of the deck, we just flip it. Nope, when you run out of your cards, you're in sudden death mode. You are playing cards, and there's nothing you can do. I love that. I think that means that you're controlling the length of the game, and that I think it's Uno, but better. The way that these cards are not going to be forcing people to be drawing way up in their heart. Yeah, you'll occasionally get a draw card, maybe once in a while, but you have mostly return cards. I think that the difficulty is really simple, and that if you played Uno, you're going to look at this and say, this is way better, and that you're going to catch it really quick. So, thumbs up on that difficulty. Replayability. Well, again, let's look at Uno. When you play Uno, you play with a bunch of friends. Usually that's not your game night. That tends to be more of like a party atmosphere, or like a bunch of family or friends who are hanging out and just pull a game out randomly. And you play a bunch in a row. I think that this is the kind of game that could easily be one of those games that just ends up getting to the table 3 or 4 times in a row, and you end up playing for a couple hours. Or it's just one of those games that you end up liking it and you pull it out for when you only have 2 or 3 friends over and you're just looking for something small. So, thumbs up on that replayability. Keys to victory. Now, this is one of those games that it's interesting, because I think it's pretty straightforward to you. The keys to victory are, be the last one with cards left. But how do you do that? You can be trying to attack people and make sure that, you really keep them controlled and keep their hands to that smaller sizing. You can be trying to make sure that you keep yourself well established by having loads of different cards, so that instead of being like, oh, I've got all greens, I'm good. Well, now somebody hits you with that green situation and you're in trouble. Instead, you go, no, I'm trying to make sure I spend my greens, and I'm trying to get a couple reds and a couple yellows and keep a good mix. There's a lot of ways to take advantage of these rules, and you're going through enough cards that you can strategize what you want to do. I don't think that there's any issue with the keys to victory. I think that, while it's not a giant amount, they're straightforward with what it is, and it doesn't trick you into thinking you have other options. So it's a thumbs up there. Unique. I really like this game. But, and this is not a negative, I've said this before about other games, when you're talking about unique, you're talking about it really standing out from the pack. And for me, this does remind me of Uno. Now, I look at it as, just like I've said in the past with, let's say the game of 49, where I said, hey, we went and took Connect 4, an old school game. We vastly improved it. I love the better version here. I think the same thing with this. To me, this is a vastly improved version of Uno. You've taken an older game, something that's still well known, still popular, and you've said, I'm going to do a little bit of a theme on it. I'm going to have the cards be really nice, and I'm going to make a better version. And that's what this is to me. But at the end of the day, that does mean it's not unique, because it's a better version of something else, meaning it's the same roughly type of game. So I have to give a thumbs down on unique. That's not a kick at this one. It's not saying it's a bad game. You have to be honest about, when you think about wanting to play a game, how to compare it to others. So overall, what do I think? I really liked this game. It was a big surprise to me. I got the box and I liked the box, but when I opened it up and I put it to the table and I actually played, I was surprised at how easy it was to learn, but how much better it was. I am a person that loved playing games growing up, and then I kind of died off of games because they just weren't interesting anymore until I, a few years later discovered Catan and Ticket to Ride and realized this big influx of new style games. I loved Uno, and I've tried finding other ones I can play, but it gets boring after a little bit. This one I think will hold up a lot longer. I think this is a game that's going to have a lot more strategy to it, but that old school feel, and I love that about it. So I'm extremely excited. I think it's a game you should definitely play. I think it's a game you should consider to buy. To me, it's an overall win. But that's just my opinion. It's up to you guys to get out there, try to get this game in your hands, and get your own opinion about it. Well, today has been day 73. We have been talking about the game I'm Right, You're Wrong. And I am the Meeples champion. Like, share, subscribe, and once this game is available on Amazon, I will be adding it down below in the description to make sure you guys get your hands on it. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.